Hello Pisces, this is your July 2024 reading here on YouTube, and the month of July begins with both Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your sign, and the transit of retrograde Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Pisces will last months beyond July. But what it's going to do for you, or start in motion for you, is a restructuring, a rebuilding, Saturn retrograde, of your dreams and your how you show up in relation to the divine and on your spiritual journey. That's Neptune's influence. Neptune also rules unconditional love and beauty and glamour, but again, the retrograde will show up where you've been kidding yourself and being delusional. But overall, this is a month to get pretty serious about your dreams and start to create structures, websites, flyers, group events, vision boards. Start to create structures that are going to propel your dreams further into reality. July is a great time to do that. Let's see what's coming up on the tarot. It's going to be a beautiful month for glamour, for transcendental experience, for spiritual pursuits too. We have the Five of Cups, dealing with some heavy emotion at the moment, mixed messages, mixed emotions, and the Ten of Pentacles. It looks like help is on the way. Four of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, and the World card. So one big chapter of your life, Pisces, has closed out over the last month or so, and you're kind of embarking on this new phase. I myself, as a Pisces, I feel like that could be speaking to me personally, like, okay, so I became a mother recently, and now I've just kind of passed through the newborn phase, so to speak. So that is one sort of chapter for me that's wrapped up, and I'm on to a new phase of life. So it could be anything for you guys, but just whoever's watching, just know that something about the quality of time that has just passed has been a phase or an era for you, and it could be pretty minor or obvious. Strength card is what you're stepping into. So between now and between now and I guess Leo season, which is the 22nd, 23rd of July, there's going to be a definite tone change for you. The Five of Swords, Five of Pentacles, I mean, 3 5s in the reading. This is kind of tricky. The Temperance card and then the Fool card. Thank God we're ending July with a change of scene, because what's been going on lately has been a little tiring for you, Pisces. I think you're probably quite tired. And Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. To begin the month, it could be a little bit hazy, and it could even feel a little bit heavy. Saturn does rule trials and tribulations, and Neptune is illusionary. And if Daddy Saturn sees that you have been kidding yourself or not really in tune with reality at the moment, it's going to come down like a ton of bricks. However, think of Saturn retrograde as the site inspector coming back with their clipboard to see how you've been doing in terms of mastery, in terms of responsibility, in terms of leveling up and taking really good care of yourself and your shit, well, you're obviously going to be rewarded then as well at the end of the month with this new adventure, a new beginning. It could even happen a little sooner. Right in the middle of the reading, there's this Five of Cups energy. To me, this tells me that you're a little bit disappointed by those around you, or you're noticing that there's a definite spillage here. These 3 cups of spilled milk, let's say. There's a disappointment, and there's also a drain energetically, and it's coming from the people around you. So I would definitely look out for that, and that's definitely going to make you feel tired and worn out, Pisces. So there's some sort of a emotional disappointment all around you, and you're kind of grieving that, and you're experiencing a loss of connection, I think. And this month, when I said Neptune is like the connection to something beyond the physical, transpersonal, metaphysical, spiritual, whatever you want to say. When we see Neptune, planet of the divine, retrograde, sometimes we can yearn for spiritual connection, and sometimes we can even feel a disconnect through that Neptune retrograde, or it will point to us where we're not feeling in touch with something greater than ourselves, for the purpose, I suppose, of rebuilding our faith, rebuilding a kind of trust in the universe. There's a lot about the world card here in the past position. There's a lot about you having like overcome. The world card actually is Saturn in motion. So you've already overcome a series of tests and a series of tribulations, and you've already kind of won in a sense. And now, for whatever reason, you're missing that victory, or you're missing that pinnacle, you're missing that success, but you've already had a taste of it, you've already experienced it, and now it's just a new phase for you. Now it's just something that you're not fully familiar with yet, and you're learning more and more about. If this reading resonates, I'm going to go a lot deeper in an extended version. I'll link that down below. I'll pull 10 more cards and go deeper and see what else is coming through. Okay, but help is on the way in the terms of financial assistance, or in terms of somebody who wants to get into business with you, in terms of somebody who wants to buy a piece of your business, buy one of your stocks, in terms of an investment paying off for you. Help is on the way in terms of resources, and it comes in quite a grand fashion. So it comes like quite heftily and plentiful. So that's great. It's like a windfall almost, and that really doesn't it doesn't caress the emotional wounds, but it definitely helps take the pressure off you. And there's a lot of guilt here, Pisces. There's a lot of blame. There's even a lot of hurt and self-sabotage. And then there's this energy of you. Where did that card come from? Then there's this energy of you holding it all in, like keeping it close to your chest and building a wall around yourself. So that's not great, Pisces. You know, we can do better than that. I'm trying to think that, you know, for me, maybe where this is showing up, and I'd have to let this reading sit with me, I think that maybe I haven't been asking for enough support. I haven't been vocalizing that, like, I need help. And then perhaps the wall that's building could be resentment, that I'm like getting pissed off at people because I'm like a new mother. I'm not really like, if I'm like, I want more help, but I don't ask either. So that could be a message coming through, Pisces, you know, not to let things build up and come to a point of like resentment maybe, or building a wall around yourself. So help comes in the terms of a windfall or a large sum of money, or like an influx of opportunity, business dealings, negotiations, contracts, clients. An influx comes pretty soon, and you're more sensible about it this time, because the Four of Pentacles is very much about savings. It's about being like cautious. It's about being frugal. It's about being mindful with your money. Like, this person has a tight grip on it, and they have an idea here in the crown chakra. Even with the crown here, they have an insight as to where they can invest, reinvest, or where they can put away for a rainy day, or like you have a more savvy, smart approach with your resources now. So you get this influx, and it's quite timely because it's this sort of a blessing for you, and you know what way to treat it this time. And I think you're very aware of where you need to allocate and what you need to prioritize in terms of spending. And then you have some left over, but I guess that's up to you how you manage your leftovers. But for now, you know that you're in some sort of a position currently, as you see this reading, of Saturn's retrograde. It's sucking you backwards. Saturn is harsh, it's doomy, it's gloomy, okay? But in the retrograde, it's going to be asking you to review how far you've come and the successes you've had, and tell you that, yeah, there's still some work here to do, Pisces. There is still, like, of all the readings, you're the 6th sign I've read for, and this, I'm a Pisces, so I'm like, I'm here with you guys. I'm seeing that there are still a period of contraction, whereas I've just read for Leo, and all of their reading was expanse. So I knew their period of contraction had just happened, because like this Dahlia here, or Dahlia, whatever you want to say, that grows in such a way, contracts, and then you'll see the petals expand, and then before it takes another growth spurt, it will contract again, come smaller and expand. And I do believe that that's a universal principle of expansion and contraction, and it shows up in nature, it shows up in our energetics too. So this looks like a period of contraction. So perhaps it's August, maybe it's September that the expansion comes, but it's just the way the wheel turns. And this, I mean, there is a new beginning and a fresh start, clean slate, wiped pretty nicely clean for you by the end of the month. So you are able to go off on your merry way feeling a lot lighter and having cleansed and dropped a lot of this heavier energy that's around you currently as you see this. Pisces, you may notice that this suddenly looks a lot different than newborn I was telling you about. They needed my attention, so I had to cut the video short yesterday, and this morning I'm just picking up right where I left off. All right, so I hope it's not too disjointed or distracting for you, but I was about to say that the Fool card at the end of the reading, which is representing this new beginning for you, which is representing a fresh start, a clean slate, a new era, I didn't notice until now, and it's something I always notice in a reading. And I mean, not now when I just looked at the cards, like now and I've just said it. The World card is the last card of the tarot and the Fool card is the first. So we talked about that kind of end of an era for you, and the past, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 3 months, or even 2 weeks has been very much noticeable for you, that like you're finishing off some sort of a behavior, you're finishing a cycle, you're finishing a class, you're finishing a job. It could be very literal too, that you're just graduating or you're celebrating in some kind of a ceremonial way, like a marriage, or I don't know, maybe some of you have become pregnant recently. But the end of this month actually looks pretty different in terms of what's beginning now and like what has come in a sense full circle, and now you're ready to embark on something else. We'll definitely look into that into the extended, but what I was going to say about the Nine of Swords in the subconscious, it doesn't really pair very well with your outcome, I've got to admit. And this talks a lot about a guilty conscience, and in the subconscious part of the reading, to have the Nine of Swords there can be very limiting in this position, because it kind of sets up self-sabotage, and that's what's also found in the highest self position. You know, the Five of Swords is not like the gentlest card to see from the highest self, so there is a warning here, or there is some sort of an encouragement from the highest self to consider at least where you're going to be self-sabotaging and where you may be even like going down a path of destruction on some level. At the bottom of the deck, those of you who are not in a relationship but are hoping to invite the blessing of love into your life soon, the King of Cups looks like a really great person that is almost like waiting in the sidelines of the stage of your life story right now. And the two aces underneath would suggest to me that there's actually like many options here, not just one person. Perhaps there are several people that would love to meet you and get to know you, okay? And because it's at the bottom of the deck, there is an indication to say that it's just not quite there yet, or this is just not really ready just like this month, maybe not even next month. It could be starting to get ready then. It's just there seems to be still a lot of that like density that I spoke to with the 3 5s in this reading that you're working through right now, okay? Obviously the Temperance card, the Angel, and the Fool card as we end the month looks a lot lighter than what you're entering July with. And for those of you who are in, there's the Two of Cups with the Empress card. For those of you who are in a relationship currently, it seems like you're preparing to open up to blessings for your relationship, further commitment, devotion. This could look like moving in together. This could look like some sort of an agreement or pact, or saying yes to something. The Empress is also the archetypal mother. So for many of you, you are hoping to become parents or to invite in the energy and blessing of creation to the relationship. Again, not today perhaps, but in the pipeline for sure. And you know, something that we've spoke to the World card, you really have come such a long way on something, and it is a success story, and there's almost something about craving it, and also being very blinded to, you know, your current blessings and where your strong suits are, because the Ten of Pentacles is here saying like you have like untapped potential nearly that you're not seeing at this time, because the Five of Cups, you have this kind of like heavier emotional, well, you're having an outlook around your present environment to be kind of like at a loss or disappointing. And of course, some of you are grieving a loss. So that's another story entirely. And that's, of course, a process. But for whatever reason, there's so much guilt and blame and guilty conscience here, and building walls and holding in and defensiveness. Okay, so as we move into the portion of the month where Venus, Mercury, and the Sun will all be in Leo around the 23rd of the month onwards, there is a challenge to overcome, but at this point you have the strength to do so. Whereas maybe today you kind of are like, no, I can't deal with this, I don't want to deal with this. Later on in the month, there is a lot more of a fighting spirit around you, a lot more bravery and resilience. I mean, you proving yourself to be resilient, of course, but the strength card is a positive card in my eyes, like, but sometimes you think like, oh, well, if it's here, there's obviously a reason I need to be strong. This could also just speak to a boost in vitality and physical health as the month draws to a close as well. Hopefully some warmer weather where you are helping you get some more vitamin D and sunlight. And that's a really grounding and wonderful natural way to safely practice like sun exposure, of course, but to feel better and to feel more full of vitality. But there is something coming up around the 23rd of the month which requires you to not like be tough on yourself or anything, but again, like Saturn retrograde, to take things seriously. And no more kind of victim playing, no more self-sabotage, and kind of taking control of the narrative. That's a phrase that's coming up, taking control of the narrative, taking control of your personal narrative, and empowering yourself. You are powerful. Just doing things that feel more empowering would be coming up for that storyline now that's emerging. Five of Swords is the self-sabotage we see in the highest self position. So there is an indication, Pisces, that you are repeating cycles that don't really work, and it only makes you feel regretful or that there's a mistake being made. Something has come up where you're like, oh, I fucked up. Some of you have had a realization about the past, maybe the deep past. It's come to you by way of an enlightening conversation, a memory or a download, or just another perspective. And you can see that, all right, well, I guess I had a part to play there, or I wasn't the innocent party, or I made a mistake. And that's much lighter energy to say like, yeah, I just fucked up and I made a mistake. We're human. It's going to happen again and again and again. It's just part of the deal. That's a lighter energy. And like I think the highest self coming in with a heavy hitter Five of Swords is saying like, yeah, you just fucked up. You just made a mistake. And then the Nine of Swords in your subconscious is a little more tricky for me to look at, because this would suggest that there's more of a buried kind of guilt and shame. And it could be around something different, but it might be an indication now that if you've messed up or if you did something you regret, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to forgive yourself. Wouldn't you forgive another person? And, you know, how can we say that, you know, people never change, they're always the same? That's just basically denying then that we ourselves are capable of change and improvement. You know, everyone is able to change. And I don't agree with that at all. Like a leopard doesn't change their spots unless they have like the rare diagnosis of like a narcissistic personality disorder. But that's a very, very rare case. And it's something that gets thrown around a lot, right? And if you ever have to question that, good chance you do not have that disorder. The Five of Pentacles in the position of the environment. Okay, so the Five of Pentacles in the position of the environment is, God, I'm just coming out with all these cliches and armchair psychologist talk, but hurt people. That's what I see with this Five of Pentacles. So you notice that people are hurting and you're maybe hurting, and maybe there has been something that you're not super proud of, or you know, for example, like retaliating. I can definitely relate to that, like feeling hurt and disrespected and having my boundaries crossed, and then my reaction after a period of like not seeing or not being in contact with this person. The first time, it was hard for me not to retaliate and be hurtful and even disrespectful. So when I sat with that, I redeemed myself, you know, the next day, and continued to have done that since. But yeah, I sat with that and I was like, okay, I obviously wanted to make them feel a way that they had made me feel. And it's not a good cycle to be in, but again, Five of Swords, we're only human. It's okay. We just forgive ourselves. We do the work necessary to redeem ourselves, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. And we move forward and we learn from that. And nothing is a waste if it's something that we learned for. Everything is a blessing, the good things, the bad things. And the good things, you know, the Empress, love, creation, harmony, flow, abundance, gratitude. The King of Cups is a person that loves us and we love. And it's emotional depth and sensitivity and creativity and expression and imagination and relationships and friendship. And the Ace of Swords, Ace of Wands, like invigorating opportunities, insightful opportunities, opportunities to learn, opportunities to do. It's all laying here at the bottom of the deck. It's just that there's some stuff to work through this month, and then this kind of is just waiting here in the pipeline for you. So the Temperance card is a really welcome sight in this reading, I must say. The Temperance card in the hopes and fears position, well, I think that Pisces, it would be like you are probably the most spiritually attuned sign archetypally. I'm not just talking about like if you have a Pisces sun or a Pisces moon, you're the most spiritual person. Pisces as an archetype is the sign associated with connection to the divine or spirituality or transcendental experience or as something beyond the physical. And I feel like higher dimensional benevolent figures that we are used to calling angels would reside in the sort of realm of Pisces sort of vision or kind of like understanding. But there are certain core foundational beliefs that you can lean into. Like I'm a Pisces, and for example, like I would always say like I'm divinely protected, no harm will come my way. I would say that to my child, like I would say that as an affirmation regularly. And I think it's important to have some core foundational beliefs around everything always works out for me, I'm always in the right place at the right time. Even though times might be hard, I know that I'll get there in the end. Just certain kind of affirmations that kind of become principle to you or so foundational that they are true. I mean, I can't say that everything always works out for me is 100% a truth, but it's good, it works. So that is a nice way to try to reframe your mind. If you can, think of an affirmation that works for you and know that what I'm picking up on is that there is protection around you and you're looked after in a sense, and this tough spell or this learning curve or this period of growth for you has been called in by your soul so that you can experience it and transform and move through it. And all the while you're being watched over, okay? So it won't, there's no rock bottom coming here by any means. There is a lot of hurt though, so why not lean into that and explore where that comes from? And then the Fool card. We'll clear this up in the extended, but what I'm seeing here is a new beginning at the end of the month. Why don't I just give you pull one more card here on this version before moving into the extended, so I can get an insight as to what this new beginning looks like for the sign of Pisces. Queen of Cups. Okay, yeah, this is self-love, right? This is about filling your cup, having compassion for yourself, pouring into yourself, and acceptance and grace for yourself. So the fresh start is coming around new ways that you can love yourself more, integrate your every part of your being, your shadow and your light side. And your Queen of Cups is going to love yourself entirely, and it's going to be a fresh, clean slate where you must come to the conclusion eventually and saying like, no, this isn't working for me. I can't be so hard on myself. I need to let go of the guilt. I need to let go of the shame. I need to bring down the wall. And if this has got a closed heart chakra here, the Queen of Cups is busting that wide open, right? And even in the Temperance card with this red triangle, like pointing, ascending essentially to spirit, it's another indication like from your guides, from your highest self, like Pisces. It's time to let go of that, and it's time to transcend and love yourself. And Neptune's retrograde, the sign or the planet of unconditional love and transcendental experience, moving through Pisces, where it's at home in the sign and the archetype of flow and surrender and love and all of those things. Forgiveness is a word that's associated with both Neptune and Pisces. This is a great time to forgive yourself especially, and that will open the doorway to forgiving other people that hurt you. Thank you so much for watching, Pisces. I'll get to the extended now. It will be linked in the description box below. But if this is all you're sticking around for, thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe. I'd also love if you would like or share, comment. It'd be great to hear from you. Bye.